Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing great. As you've seen in the title, in this video, we are about to see what if Naruto got into harem with Femme Orachimaru. This is part 1, and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic and show some love and support. Name of the story is A Snake's Obsession by Slyth Fox 2. Do check it out. All details and description. And if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. How did you convince him to allow you back? The daimyo had exited Hiruzen's office, and it was only Orochimaru and him. His ambu detail having been excluded from the meeting from the get-go. It's not so hard when you know where the bodies are buried. Once he saw what Danzo and you did to Naruto-kun, he wanted more evidence of wrongdoing in the worst way, and you know me, a real pleaser, or have you erased that from your memory, sensei? She purred, and Hiruzen shrank in on himself. Shut up. Why? You never seemed to have a problem with it before. You even had a ritual after. Oh, how you'd promised to never do it again. It was a mistake and on and on. Silence. I love Bawako, he said, clenching his fists. Kakuku, amazing how you only remembered that after you got off. Is that why I was your favorite, sensei? Little orphan girl that idolized you developed to your liking. Didn't even care you were using her. Not even when you asked her to get an Aber. Shut up, or I'll kill you. Daimyo's orders or not. So indignant, sensei. Was I really so bad you shipped me off to Danzo? Even passed me up for the Hokage's position? Or was Minato just better in bed than me? You play your games and have your fun, but you'll slip up and be chased out of here again. It's in your nature, rotten to the core. Kakuku thinks so? Because I think being here gets me everything I want, and you can't even lift a finger to stop me. And what do you want? Konoha's downfall? Even working from the inside, it'll take more than you. Oh, no, sensei. That isn't what I desire at all. One thing I want is for you to live in disgrace, and you will. Forever shamed by what you did to Naruto-kun. The rest? Well, that's a secret, she said, turning to walk away. Whatever it is you want, I'll stop you. If I honestly thought you could prevent me from what I want, you'd be dead already, she said, closing the door behind her. Naruto and the two Sannin were sitting in one of Jiraiya's apartments. Jiraiya and Tsunade both felt privacy was required for what they wanted to say. They were having an argument about who would go first, and Tsunade looked ready to punch Jiraiya, so he gave in. So, how are you doing with all this, Naruto? I don't know. It's a lot to take in. I went from making plans to flee the village to being a future clan head and independently wealthy. You've claimed 3 bounties on a rank shinobi. You're fine, financially. Jiraiya chimed in, ignoring the plans to flee part. How the hell would you know? Naruto shot back. There are many people that don't know you have a knack for killing Kiri swordsmen. Well, I donated a lot of that to the families of the shinobi that didn't come back. It was a nice cushion, but that's about it. Anyway, Naruto, I wanted to tell you that I suspected you were Kushina's child when we met, but without proof, I didn't want to say anything. That's why I went to the daimyo, to find out who you were and why you weren't living the life you should have been. I'm sorry I kept it from you as long as I did, but the daimyo thought, and I agreed, it was best to tie up loose ends. Oh, it's okay. You were actually trying to help me and not just manipulate me to protect a cover-up, he said while shrugging. If her actions improved his situation, he won't complain about it not being immediate. Was that all? Well, I could thank you for winning me a shit ton of money by taking you to dinner. I'm sure Shizen would be up for it. I'd like that. You want to bet? Why aren't you freaking out? Jiraiya asked, deeply confused. The kid negates that. I bet on him and win and nothing happens. I don't get it, but I also don't question it. I am curious why you didn't just win the whole damn thing. Gaara is broken. He only finds comfort in his madness. I wasn't there to fight a mad dog, and if he pushed me too fair, Suna would be missing a Jinchuriki, and that can't be good for inter-village relations. Besides, it was only my pride pushing me to compete, but what's pride to people that perfected the art of fighting cowardly? That's an interesting understanding of shinobi, said Tsunade. I suppose it is. Well, that's all I wanted. Come to the Senja compound tonight at 8, and we'll decide something from there. I see you then. She nodded and then exited the apartment. Jiraiya watched Naruto grinning like an idiot, completely misunderstanding the vibe. All right, enough of that. I brought you here to tell you I want you to be my apprentice. Ah, thank you? It'd be an honor, but I think I have to decline. Naruto said, shocking both Sanin. What do you mean decline, brat? Do you know how many people would kill to be in your position? And how many of those spend a month training with you? I'm not saying your approach has no merit, but it doesn't work for me. Besides, I still have a Jounin sensei, but she can't prepare you for what lies ahead. And what lies ahead? There are a group of S-rank shinobi calling themselves the Akatsuki. They want to abduct all the Jinchuriki for some unknown reason. How long have you known about this? I've been aware of them since Orachimaru joined, but I only recently found out about their goal of collecting the Jinchuriki. And knowing this, you wasted a month not being fully engaged? Why would I assume that'd be different? I just wanted you to figure things out for yourself. I'm a jutsu creator. I've been since I was 6. Please don't insult me, Jiraiya. Asking technical details about a jutsu I'm trying to learn isn't an unwillingness to work independently. Maybe that bit of information would have been applicable to another problem I currently have or something down the road. We cannot know what will and won't be relevant at a later date. Your refusal to do anything more than explain the steps once and then scope out women was borderline negligent. All right. I could have been a bit more helpful, but I was testing your determination. I was hunted for 2 weeks by 2 of the 7 swordsmen. I've proven my determination. Your resolve? I killed both of those swordsmen. Iron will. Fine, Gaki. What do you think I could have done differently? You could have worked on my taijutsu. Is it bad? Isn't it telling you don't know? Now, I wouldn't call it bad. I train in the Panther's preferred style, but facing with different, more experienced opponents would be helpful. My first instinct is to go to my sword or ninjutsu. I can end fights fast that way, so my taijutsu skills aren't as sharp as those are. You seem awfully aware of your flaws. No reason not to be. As far as your offer, I need to think about it. Is that okay? Sure, brat, but don't think too long. No problem. Well, I need to go see my teammates, later pervy sage. Don't call me that, brat. Contrary to shinobi stereotype, Naruto didn't hate hospitals. He hated the smell, but who would enjoy the smell of disinfectant? Since he cultivated a joy of reading early on, anytime he wound up in the hospital due to injury, he'd just relax and read. Because he didn't make himself a pain and was actually a good patient, the hospital staff was weirdly accepting of Naruto. They didn't care or whisper behind his back. He was just a normal boy with abnormal hobbies. So, when he heard, "What are you doing here?" he didn't take it as an insult or expression of animus. "Ano, Saito-sensei, I'm just here to visit my teammates." "That had better be why. If I have to treat you for Tenketsu burnout one more time, I'll wring your neck." The brunette said. She was the first person to ever treat Naruto when a right unjutsu got away from him. She fussed over him more like a mother hen than a doctor, but it was nice, if unusual for the redhead. "I heard you kicked ass, Naruto." "I did okay. Won my first 2 matches, but forfeited during the final." "Good. You aren't one of those battle junkies looking for stronger opponents or some such nonsense." "Nah, I'm too lazy for that. I want all my enemies weak, so I can beat them and get back to my books." "You sound like an old man." "Naruto," he chuckled. "I suppose I do. Would you happen to know where Shikamaru Nara and Shino Aburame are?" "Actually, I do. They're in the same room since Shikamaru is faking. Just go down this hall, and it's the last door on the left." "Thank you, Saito-sensei." "No problem, Naruto. Just stay out of trouble or else." Hi, he said before traveling to his teammate's room. Once he arrived, he saw an unexpected sight. Shino staring off into the void, likely having a discussion with his allies while Shikamaru pretended to sleep. For a notoriously lazy boy, he pretended to sleep a lot. "Hey fellas, troublesome." That resulted in Naruto gaining a tick mark. "Hello, Naruto-san." No matter how many times Naruto tells Shino, he doesn't have to be so formal he is anyway. So, he's given up for now. "You feeling better, Shino?" "Yes. My allies were able to neutralize much of the poison. I am only here as a precaution." "Thank you for your concern. Of course, we're teammates." "What about you, Shikamaru? Still pretending to have chakra exhaustion?" "Not all of us are walking chakra batteries. You troublesome redhead." "You're troublesome, team?" "No, you are. I used to think blondes were the very height of troublesome, but I was wrong. I actually talked to my dad about it, and he gave me a knowing look. You clearly descend from troublesome people." "You goddamn right I do. My name might mean Maelstrom, but I'm an eternal flame, baby." "Databeo." "Oh, Kurenai. Your cute little students are so much cuter than mine." "Want to trade?" A voice from outside the room said. "They are downright adorable, Kakashi, so I think I'll keep them." At being caught in their childish moment, Shino adjusted his glasses, Shikamaru muttered troublesome, and Naruto scratched the back of his head. Well, just be careful around Naruto and Raiden Jutsu. He isn't very good with them. Naruto immediately became irate. Hair floating in distinct tails. You suck at teaching Raiden, Databeo. Oh, Naruchan, is this about the lightning puppy again? Immediately his mood changed from righteous fury to embarrassment. Shut up. You said you'd never bring that up. No, I implied I wouldn't, but it's good to have embarrassing stories about rookie Chunin. It keeps them humble. Hi, the old man told me just a little while ago, but I don't think it means no one else has a chance. He just confirmed my early. Congratulations were given all around, and Naruto the team slipped into comfortable banter, while Kakashi excused himself. He took a look back at Kurenai's team and knew, while he truly wanted to be directly involved in Naruto's development, this was likely the best team for him. A supportive team with no egos, and people too smart to give in to blind prejudice. His team is good. They've worked out their roles after a lot of effort, so he can't complain, but he hasn't felt the same joy as when he watched an 8-year-old Kushina clone shock himself, trying to master the basics of Raiden manipulation. Enjoying time with people he actually liked couldn't be allowed to last, Naruto realized, as he was summoned to a council meeting by an ANBU, the same one that escorted him from the arena. He didn't think the old man would go through with the inheritance stuff so suddenly, but he guessed it was better to just get it all over with. He assured his team he'd tell them all about it when next they met and made his way to the meeting, not wishing to make a bad impression. Once he was allowed entrance into the room, he was greeted with the sight of the clan heads of the major clans of Konoha, from Aburame to Hyuga. Tsunade and Jiraiya were there as well, though Tsunade's presence did make sense as the Senju clan head. Even the old man's advisors were there. The leaders of the major clans were all looking confused as to why they would be there, and especially why he was there with them. We have a lot to discuss tonight. Well, I have a lot to tell you all. I ask for no interruptions. First order of business. Many of you have suspected the truth, but never outright confronted me. This allowed me to violate the Clan Survival Act passed by the daimyo. Naruto is the true heir to the Uzumaki clan. His parents are Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. He will be getting the domicile he has been entitled to his entire life, along with full access to his clan's resources. He also has been promoted to Chunin. It was long overdue and the folly of a foolish old man. As such, he will have a seat on the council or may choose a proxy. But that can be arranged another time, but for tonight he will join us. Are there any questions outside of why I hide his heritage? I'd like to know if you're sure. Yes, he looks exactly like Kushina, but do you have proof he is Minato's son? Asked Hayashi. I'm not sure I take to your implication, Hayashi-san. He really wanted to make a good impression, but he won't let some asshole slander his mother. There'll be some fighting bastards in here before that goes down. I'm only doing my due diligence, Naruto-san. No, you're being an asshole, and if you continue to imply Kushina was anything less than a faithful wife, I'll break every bone in your body. You being a Hyuga doesn't absolve you from responsibility for your words. Remember that, Hayashi. Tsunade chimed in. That's enough. Yes, there is proof, and it has been accepted by the daimyo himself, so you have no grounds to question it. Is there anything else? Will you inform us of the why? Asked Shibi. Yes, there are multiple reasons. The easiest to accept is the son of Naruto Namikaze would have had assassins after him before he could walk. I truly wanted to protect Naruto from that, especially when I didn't know if I could fully trust my shinobi to protect him. Many of the shinobi bristled at the accusation. I don't find that fair at all. Some yelled. She may not have done much for the boy or anything, but she'd never just allow someone to kill him, nor would she believe any of her clan capable of such an act. All the clan heads silently agreed, taking offense at the implication. Naruto held back a scoff, but didn't hide how he felt about their performative outrage. Do you disagree, Naruto-san? Shibi asked. The shinobi of the village generally were less discriminatory, though the primary reaction was to treat me like a primed, exploding tag they'd rather not be around. Some were more ignorant, some less, but the consensus seemed to be they'd rather I not be anywhere near them. Also, I just had a man imply my mother was a whore to my face, as if it weren't offensive. That was my reality, so whether or not any of you would attempt to protect someone you'd prefer not be near you, I don't know, but acting like the old man just levied a grave insult is absurd. When Naruto finished answering Shibi, much of the indignation had left the faces of the clan heads. When taken from Naruto's perspective, It would be easy to assume some would willingly look the other way while he was removed either through kidnapping or murder. Many were having realizations about what their inactivity in the life of Naruto, Minato's child, meant. They speak of his noble sacrifice but had sullied it by their choices. They were all starting to feel the weight of 12 years' worth of shame. Hayashi felt it more than any. He holds some resentment toward Naruto for injuring Neji to the extent he did and engaged in a moment of pettiness. It was beneath him and surely not justified when speaking about the dead. Moving on, protecting Naruto was one reason, but it wasn't the only, and in retrospect I cannot say with all honesty it was the primary one either. My position was vulnerable. The wealthiest of the civilians were attempting to make a power grab, leveraging the money required to support our recovery. I couldn't allow that. The current daimyo was also an unknown to me and didn't trust he'd send additional resources without requiring something in return, so I did a shameful act. I pilfered money from the Uzumaki clan funds. It was a substantial amount, and in my desire to not lose a necessary emergency fund, I allowed a way for Danzo to take funds from the account as well. I've made restitution to Naruto for what I've taken and was in the process of repaying what Danzo stole. This is why I didn't promote him to Chunin. I didn't believe I could delay giving him his inheritance or the knowledge of his parents and clan any longer than that, as an automatic search for any due assets is started when our shinobi make Chunin. The inconsistencies in Naruto's file would have gotten back to the daimyo, and this would have been the result. However, the daimyo was alerted to my actions some time ago and had been conducting his own investigation into my and Danzo's actions. He brought it all to my attention a few days ago, where Danzo Shimura was executed for his crimes. I am deeply ashamed of my actions and how they've hurt Naruto. I am even further shamed by the consequences of my actions. As ordered by Daimyo-sama, I will be stepping down as Hokage as soon as I find a worthy replacement. That is expected. What wasn't was the other order given by the daimyo, Hiruzen said before gesturing to his Anbiyu, who left and returned promptly with a cloaked guest. Take off that ridiculous cloak. This is no time for your games. Hiruzen barked. Kakuku, so means Sarutobi-sensei. The familiar laugh and timbre set most of the room on edge. Orochimaru the White Snake was here. Konoha's greatest traitor was here. The Ino Shikacho sprang into action, attempting their well-practiced containment formation. Hayashi and Sum assumed their taijutsu stances. Shibi wondered if he were surrounded by idiots, as the Hokage clearly summoned the notorious traitor. Tsunade and Jiraiya had been warned by Hiruzen. He had some shocking news to deliver, so while greatly surprised, they didn't blindly attack her. Naruto just wanted to leave. How should you feel about someone that stabs you in the gut, but also gives you the means to speak to your dead mother? He hadn't the faintest idea, so hoped he could turn invisible through will alone. All of you sit down now? Hiruzen shouted, attempting to get control back before things got out of hand. All obeyed their Hokage, though reluctantly. Orochimaru, as ordered by the daimyo, was given a full pardon, as she was acting under the orders of Danzo at the time, and as I never punished him, it was unjust to hold a subordinate to a stricter standard. Odo, her shinobi village will become a protectorate of Konoha, operating semi-independently, but my successor will have to iron out the specifics. She is reinstated as an elite jounin and conferred all the rights and privileges befitting her rank, and is still acknowledged as a Sannin. These orders are absolute and beyond contestation. You are all to inform your clansmen of these developments, so none erroneously attack her. Sensei, you can't do this. She's a monster. It'd be letting the fox into the chicken coop. No offense, Naruto. I can't allow this. I won't let her cause further harm here. Naruto said nothing, still pretending to be invisible. Kakuku, stupid Jiraiya. Always talking big. He should shut up before I run him through with my sword, and spit roast a few of his toads for good measure. Try, bitch. However did you suffer this idiot for an entire month? Naruto-kun? You must have lost brain cells by the minute. Now that I'm back, how would you like to be my student? Did she really just ask me that? No, she didn't. None of them can see me. I'm not even here. His denial no jutsu was strong. Never. Jiraiya roared, unleashing his full killing intent. Why not? I've already helped him more than you ever have. Isn't that right, Naruto-kun? Naruto just sank into his chair. This woman was crazy, but no match for his invisibility jutsu. What do you mean by that? Naruto, what does she mean? Hiruzen asked, but when Naruto kept silent, he got a tick mark. You aren't invisible. We can see you. That has never worked, not even when you were a child. Fine. When I started my independent study, I would occasionally receive resource materials, mostly advanced chakra theory or whatever. I didn't know who it came from. I figured some Konoha ninja just wanted to help me. See? I'm clearly the better choice to train Naruto-kun, not some toad summoning lummox. Besides, your skill sets don't even complement each other. Naruto is just a creator and kenjutsu user. That's elegance. That's finesse. And above all, it's intelligence. You're an oaf. A stupid, stupid oaf. That's enough. We aren't here to watch you insult a loyal shinobi. This meeting is over. My former students and Naruto stay. Everyone else, please leave. Are you sure, Hiruzen? Asked Hamura. Yes, old friend. I'll be fine. He watched his advisor nod and leave with his counterpart. His eyes immediately grew colder as he stared at the snake Sannin. My authority may be diminished greatly, but I will never allow you direct access to Naruto. I won't have you twist him into something dark and ugly, a creature more than a human. Kakuku, you haven't the ability to stop me, you useless relic. It's his choice, and any undue influence on his choice would be unwise and likely unhealthy. Are you threatening me, us? Surely you don't believe you could defeat all three of us? That assumes you'd all attack me. Tsunade has been awfully quiet. I want nothing to do with this idiocy nor the twisted dynamic that was our team. Come on, Naruto. Annie Tsunade is going to drink her dinner until she can't feel feelings anymore, and you are too. I don't gurk. He couldn't finish as she pulled on the back of his shirt, rapidly exiting the council room. Sensei, we can't let her get near Naruto, Jiraiya said, his eyes pleading for his sensei to do anything to stop her. Why are you so convinced I mean him harm? I've only helped him thus far. You stabbed him in the gut, just a little. I knew he'd survive, and now he has something to remember me by. A little gift from Orochimaru sensei. Shursho? Yes, Shursho. If you want Naruto in the best position to fend off the Akatsuki, you'll leave him in my care. I was actually a member. I have more intelligence on them than anyone else you have access to. If you prefer to hold on to old grudges and stroke your ego, make Naruto work with a lazy pervert that never attempted to aid his godson. And before you start on your excuses, I was a missing nin, and I still knew of his interests and helped cultivate them. If anyone deserves to continue his development, it's me. Not the feeble old man, nor the useless toad. Just food for thought. Kurenai, Asuma, and Panther Cub, named Majila, were walking through the village. The two Jounin were trusting the nascent tracking ability of the young summons. They'd gone to Naruto's apartment to ask him to meet with the other rookie teams to congratulate him on his promotion and to better establish some camaraderie between him and the other teams. Very few of them knew anything of Naruto except he graduated early, so were surprised by his performance in the exams. The Jounin grew suspicious when Majila directed toward a shinobi bar. However, they went in anyway, as the cub was quite confident she found her Oni-chan, and to their shock, she had. Naruto, with half-lidded eyes, was sitting with Lady Tsunade and her longtime apprentice. Naruto! Kurenai called from the front of the bar, and Naruto's head immediately shot up. He saw her and began a slow, clearly drunken approach. "Isansei," he said a bit loud. "Hi, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I got confirmed as the clan heir of the Uzumaki clan, and then Orochimaru got reinstated as a shinobi, and she was all, 'Be my student, Naruto, no one gets you but me.' And then there was going to be a fight, but Tsunade Abakin was like, 'Peace out, suckers,' and dragged me along, so we could drink until we couldn't feel feelings anymore, but I clearly haven't drank enough because I don't like him," Naruto said, pointing to Asuma. "He's too tall, and he's probably got a bunch of short jokes just waiting." "Because I'm short. Kure-sensei, am I going to be short forever?" Naruto continued to talk rapidly with his eyes watering at the end, getting as big as saucers. "No, Naruto, you won't be short forever." "Ah, Datebayo. Oh, why are you here with Majila? We came to find you. Oni-chan, but you're supposed to be guarding my apartment. But I wanted to find you, and she said she was your sensei, and she smelled nice. What if she was lying? What if she wasn't?" "Good point," drunken Naruto said, making Kurenai and Asuma form a sweat drop. "Naruto, all of the rookie teams are having dinner together, and we want you to join us. But I can't just leave Tsunade Abakin and Shizen Nichin. I'm sure they'll understand. Besides, you need to eat something, so you sober up." I won't take no for an answer. Hi. Hi. The new Chunin said before going back to his table. The watched as the two women gave him a brief hug, and the three shinobi and one summon departed. Once they reached the restaurant, Naruto made a clone to take Majila back home. She wasn't really a guard. Bagheera just wanted the two to get used to each other and bond. He saw a seat free by his team and immediately took it, catching the eyes of the rookies and the two able-bodied members of Guy's team. "Sup?" he said, leaning back. He didn't know why, but walking seemed to make him feel more intoxicated. "Naruto-san, are you drunk?" "Why, yes, teammate Shino, I am quite drunk. Troublesome. I haven't even done anything yet. Shika, let me do something first. It's only a matter of time. You can't name one troublesome thing I've ever done. You had 6 of your summons chase me for 3 hours. You need to improve on your cardio. I gave you motivation. Fear for one's safety is quite motivating, Shikamaru-san." Shino added, getting a thumbs up from Naruto. "See, Shino gets it. I'm glad everything is just one big joke to you." A bun-haired girl cut in, glaring at Naruto. The outburst caught the attention of all at the table. "I'm sorry. Have we met?" "No. You just tried to kill both my teammates." "Nanny?" said Naruto, confused. "Lee and Niji." Shikamaru filled in the gaps. "Oh, that's incorrect. I only tried to kill one of your teammates. I intended to maim the other. Very different. And that makes it better? We're supposed to be comrades. Then, they should have acknowledged their comrade, had them beaten, and given up. You didn't have to go that far. Niji may never be a ninja again. It is all he had. Then he should have taken better care of himself. Besides, he looked as if he was truly trying to kill Usagi Haim. He pointed to Hinata, causing her to blush faintly at the name and attention. And I bet you didn't say one word about it. I'm sorry, bad things don't confine themselves to just people you don't care about. If I'd realized that were the rules, I'd have let Lee beat my brains in." He finished, causing the girl to leave, Lee following behind her. The Jounin overheard the discussion and saw Tenten leave. They were surprised Guy hadn't followed her and looked at him expectantly, causing him to answer the unasked question. "There's nothing I can say tonight to make her see the truth of Naruto's words. I think seeing her teammates easily bested by the same person has shaken her worldview. All she and my team have known until the exams is success, and I think they developed a certain amount of arrogance that nothing could touch them. That's my fault, but it won't be fixed tonight. It's okay, Guy. That would be difficult to predict. I have trouble getting my team motivated. There's no natural leader among them. Ino's just bossy, but she's also the weakest. Choji is too kind to take charge, and Hinata, while strong, doesn't appear to want to push them. By the time they all make Chunin, assuming they do, this team will not last beyond that." Asuma said, and it was truly an unusual team. His father had expressed concerns about over-specialization and decided to take inspiration from Tsunade, without actually enacting her proposal. He moved to have every team have a tracker, a containment specialist, and a heavy hitter, with one member also able to fulfill a support role. Kakashi argued hard for Naruto to be his tracker. His summon's ideal for it, but Irika and the Sandaime cited potential personality conflicts. Sasuke would do well with a rival around or at his level, but being on a team with someone far and away better than him may have made him even more withdrawn. And if Sasuke ever stole one of Naruto's personal jutsu, they wouldn't have a loyal Uchiha anymore. The Uchiha went through rigorous ethics training provided by the clan as they neared graduation age. It was one of the only reasons other ninja could accept sharing a village with someone capable of taking their hard work. They weren't known for stealing the jutsu of allies, because they didn't. However, given Sasuke's drive to kill Itachi and the absence of the ethics training, he may try to steal from Naruto, justifying the need. And Naruto wouldn't care why he did it. He'd demand blood. As the Sandaime explained, Naruto had started to see more and more of the villagers as an outgroup, not as people. If he considered you a friend, he was warm and inviting, even sometimes silly and immature. If you weren't, he could be cold and impersonal. He wouldn't automatically trust his teammates, which means Sasuke might have grossly offended Naruto before a bond could have been formed. It was a disaster waiting to happen. Kakashi accepted this, and accepted he'd be the best person to instill the ethical use of a Sharingan to Sasuke. He couldn't have Hinata, the top kunoichi, for personality conflicts as well. Apparently Sasuke was too much like Hayashi. This would either harm Hinata's growth as she became insecure, or show further signs of emotional abuse, or she'd snap and try to kill Sasuke since she can't kill her father. As such, he got Sakura. The Sandaime argued she was a blank slate and could be molded to fit near any role outside a tracker. She did have a lot of potential if he ever found a way to channel it, but being on a team with the object of her affections impedes her growth. Kiba was a good teammate. He was brash, but constantly being beat by Sasuke curbed it a bit. That was actually the problem. He didn't push Sasuke. He accepted Sasuke was better than him and deferred to him as the team leader. It improved team dynamics, but not the underlying issues of his other team members. Sasuke doesn't have to bond with his team as they follow his lead with little pushback. Sakura still gets to think Sasuke is an unparalleled genius she can always rely on. It was a mess, and while the team would last longer than Asuma's, they didn't bring the best out of each other. The rest of the evening passed without further incident, with the rookies chatting away. They all departed, and Naruto, finally sober, decided to head to his apartment. It had been a long day, and he just wanted to unwind. That, however, was not to be, as he sensed a presence in his apartment. Activating the emergency seals, should someone penetrate his initial security, Naruto walked in to see an amused Orochimaru on his couch, petting Majila, who was purring happily. "Oni-chan," the panther cub said, "this is a strong gravity seal. Is it reinforced by my chakra?" Kikuku, impressive, observed, thanks. What are you doing here, and how did you get in?" "She let me in," Orochimaru said, causing Naruto to sweat drop. He's really going to have to make her more suspicious of people. Sensing his silent recrimination, Majila spoke in her defense. "She smells like your scrolls, so I thought she was okay." He had to concede her point. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to keep training materials from an enemy, but still he'd have to withhold some snacks even if she pouted. He wouldn't break this time. "As for why I'm here, if you'd release me, I'd be happy to tell you." Naruto deactivated the secondary seals while re-engaging his primary. If the old man let her back in the village, at the daimyo's instruction, he reasoned she likely wasn't here to kill him. He took a chair from his desk and sat across from her, awaiting her explanation. "Why so far away?" "I don't bite, but you do stab." "I do, but it was a lesson you needed to learn." "And what lesson was that?" "Getting impaled hurts. Being overly noble will get you killed. You didn't leave me much choice." "Sure I did. You could have attacked me as a team, and as they distracted me, you fled," she said, and saw the disgust on Naruto's face. "Ah, you'd never do that, yes?" "No, I wouldn't." "Then accept that path leads to pain. You'll never abandon your comrades? Put their safety above your own? Then acknowledge you'll sometimes suffer for it." "Did my little love tap make you reconsider anything you did?" "No." "Good. Wouldn't want you changing too much, but also can't have you blind to what your beliefs may lead to." "Well, arigato, Sensei-sama. I am most humbled by your wise words and wiser actions. I think I like that even more than Shursho." "Yes, when you become my student, I think I'll have you call me that." "I haven't said yes. I haven't made a decision." "Kikuko, whatever you decide, just don't exclude the middle," she said, and he quirked an eyebrow. She just smiled as if to say it'd make sense soon enough. "So, on to why I'm here, did you manage to solve my little puzzle?" "Yes." "How did you get the DNA of my mother and Mito Senju?" "I'm a world-class ninja, Naruto-kun. There isn't much I can't do." "Right. So, how did you manage it?" "I broke the jutsu down to its most basic elements, yin and yang. It summons the yin energies of the dead. It needs a yang counterpart. The body in the DNA acts as a beacon to attract the yin, but also help merge the yin to a foreign yang." Orochimaru listened closely to his words, her genius mind cycling through explanations until her eyes widened a fraction. "Yang release?" "Yep. Pure yang release channeled into a shadow clone was how I was able to do." "So, you can do yang release now? How far have you gotten with it?" "Just the shadow clone. I was under a tight deadline, and learning to focus the balance of my chakra to yang took a majority of the month." "What happened? Where are they?" "They both returned to the pure world. For Mito, she felt her time had passed, and outside of Tsunade, all of her family is with her there. My Kaa-chan was conflicted, but ultimately felt it unnatural. Apparently the control seal can distract them from it as they have orders to follow, but when they retain their free will, there's always this sense that a part of them is wrong and shouldn't be there." "The foreign yang?" "Yeah." She didn't appear to have any moral qualms about it or concerns about balance or whatever. She just said she felt wrong. "Fascinating. What will you do now?" "I'm not sure. I know I want to develop young release more, but as far as the Edo Tensei, he said with a shrug, don't abandon it entirely. It'd be fitting. Minato perfected the Hiraishin, and you can perfect the Edo Tensei. Why do I have to get the zombie jutsu? Luck of the draw. Well, that's all I wanted to ask you, so I will take my leave for the night, she said, placing Majilo on the couch. Oh, and Naruto, don't stare at my ass on my way out, causing the boy to sputter, much to her amusement. When she left, Naruto glared at the lone panther cub. Majila, we need to discuss you doing whatever is requested of you for a pretty face or pleasing scent. You think she's pretty? Not the point. So, for dereliction of duty, no snacks and no belly rubs for a week. Oni-chan, 3 days had come and gone since the end of the Chunin exams and the official reinstatement of Orochimaru. The following day, the Sandaime announced her return to the entire village, and it did not go well. The civilians were terrified. The boogie woman had returned to dissect them, and their children they wailed. The ninja were on edge as well. She was a well-known traitor, so to be allowed back and for it to come from the daimyo himself? The seasoned among them realized there was a game being played well beyond their level, but would watch their step around the snake Sannin. There was one person that wasn't happy, wasn't accepting, but also wasn't afraid. She was livid, enraged, angered to the point of distraction. She begged the Sandaime to reconsider, ranted and raved about how this woman was the embodiment of evil. The old Hokage couldn't fault the kunoichi. Few had been as affected by Orochimaru's machinations than her, but his hands were tied. She realized he couldn't or wouldn't do anything and had thrown herself into a bender to cope. Her friends tried to help, but there wasn't much they could do. The situation was simply unchangeable, and if Anko tried to attack Orochimaru, she'd be stripped of her status as a kunoichi and possibly imprisoned, if the Sannin didn't kill her outright. None of them were used to seeing Anko so distressed and hated how powerless they were to console the, normally, lively kunoichi. Kurenai's team was ordered to stay on light duty as 2 of her team members were still being considered for promotion, the Orochimaru fallout having delayed final decisions, and Naruto had clan business to attend to. This allowed her to stick by her friend, attempting to sober her up with her favorite treat, Dango. Are you feeling better now? There is no better as long as she is alive. Maybe there's a long-term missions you can be sent on to get some space. I'm not running, Kurenai. Not from her. Never from her. Then what? Anko? You can't remain like this. You'll only be hurting yourself and those who care about you. I don't know. I feel helpless. How did she get the daimyo on her side? It makes no sense. Although, it is convenient that she comes back and your brat gets his long-denied promotion and acknowledged as a clan heir. Funny that. What are you implying, Anko? She has an interest in him. Don't know what, don't know why, but it's there. And the kid is about as attached to this village as that Niji is to his right arm. Naruto wouldn't betray the village. He wouldn't betray his team. Maybe not now, but before? Heritage hidden, stalled career, and most of the villagers still disliking him? You think a few people is enough to keep him in hell? Nah, and I bet she knows that too. She'll have her hooks in him before you know it, and he'll be twisted just like she is. Anko said, and was immediately slapped in response. You don't get to talk about my student like that. Naruto is nothing like her. I wasn't either, until I was influenced by her. You'll see. Majilo was running frantically, making note to use the shadow walk like her 2-sama taught her. She needed to get help. Just a bit ago, 2 strange men came to the apartment. One tried to get through the security, but couldn't. The presence of one of the men had the small cub shaking. It felt oppressive and overwhelming. They made mention of trying to find her Oni-chan, so as soon as she sensed them gone, she left via a secret exit to go find help. She smelled 2 familiar scents. One was a sensei, but her presence didn't seem to match those men, so she opted to find the other lady that smelled like snake and gave really good tummy rubs. She ran non-stop until she found the woman at a cafe with some other person. As she approached, she jumped on the table, causing the boy to tense and prepare to attack. Kabuto, stop, the lady ordered. Now, little one, what seems to be the issue? 2 men were looking for Oni-chan. One had more chakra than even Oni-chan did. They were in these cape things with red clouds on them, and I think he might be in trouble. She got out completely out of breath. Do you know where Naruto-kun is right now? The cub nodded. He uses a faraway training ground when he wants to be alone. I can show you. Good. "Kabuto, we're leaving," Orochimaru said, picking up the cub and following her directions. Naruto was having a rather crappy day. It started out fine, no mission to worry about, so he went to train for a bit. While working through the grapples of the Panther style with a shadow clone, he felt his awareness shift. Immediately, he suspected Genjutsu and dispelled it to see two cloaked individuals approach him. He cursed himself for being caught off guard, but wouldn't just react blindly because of it. They removed their straw hats as the short one began to speak. "We need you to come with us, Naruto-kun," he said, and once the hat was complete off, he realized who they were: Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki. He was boned. Bagheera might not even be much help against these guys, and he couldn't justify putting his summons at risk on the slight chance they'd make a difference. He needed to do two things: avoid looking Itachi in the eyes and come up with a plan to escape. He looks like the type to resist Itachi. "Maybe I should cut off his legs?" the large man said, going for his sword. "Besides, I hear he fashions himself a swordsman. I can put him to the test. We need him alive, Kisame. Besides, he won't resist." Without saying a word or making a gesture, his existing shadow clone sent two kunai at Itachi, each infused with his supersonic chakra flow technique. Itachi tossed two kunai to meet Naruto's, but was surprised when Naruto's cleaved effortlessly through his own, causing the Uchiha prodigy to have to dodge. The real Naruto had not been idle as he created two Fuin Bunshin. A weakness of this jutsu is due to the complicated chakra molding. He could only make two at a time, and it was limited by how many seals he could materialize through chakra. Naruto only had three as he'd been somewhat limited in his Fuin Jutsu studies, though Mito and his mom had sought to correct that. The exploding array was one he'd demonstrated. The next was gravity seals, as they made for a good containment method. If all went according to plan, Kisame would discover his third one. The blue man closed the distance between Naruto and himself in the blink of an eye and hurriedly brought down Samahata to dispel the clones. However, right before it made contact with the first clone, it dispelled itself, leaving the array planted on the sword, and with the quickest flare of the original's chakra, Samahata was gone into Naruto's personal storage void. The other clone tried to take advantage of the opening, but was dispelled with minimal effort as an enraged Kisame rushed at Naruto, slamming his fist into the redhead's jaw. Naruto's vision was swimming, and he fell to his knees, only to receive a sharp kick to his ribs, a kick powerful enough to lift him off the ground. Kisame was so angered by the theft of his sword, he didn't notice the brief glow on the ground. Naruto had suspected the kick was coming and used the moment to create space between him and the ground, so while in midair, he performed a desperation shunshin. While also triggering the explosive array he planted while bowed by Kisame's blow. The large blue man was tossed back and suffered minor burns, but nothing that would impede him for long. Naruto came out of his shunshin and immediately retrieved two kunai. He knew they would most likely follow him via the same technique. The shunshin wasn't a viable combat technique because it was disorienting and just predictable enough to give your target a brief warning to go on the defensive. However, after prolonged study, Naruto became able to see the displacement the high-speed technique caused and estimate about where it would end. It's how he killed Zabuza after the Demon of the Mist through his legendary sword. The path of the Shunshin was obvious, and a few wind chakra-infused kunai ended his life. Naruto waited. He only planned to attempt this with Kisame. Itachi's Sharingan would render the ambush useless. He'd see it coming even if he wasn't as proficient with the technique as Shursui Uchiha was. He threw the infused kunai and then performed the 6 hand signs required for one of his original jutsu. A Katon jutsu shot in a straight line, it traveled very fast. Instead of ending the Katon with the tiger sign, the sign that essentially ignites the chakra, Naruto finishes with Snake, giving it Suiton-like properties. The excited chakra will saturate an object, and once said object can't handle any more of the excited chakra, it'll explode. Fire style. Combustion stream, he muttered, aiming for the two kunai, and they caused the expected explosion, it being superheated thanks to the presence of the wind chakra. Unfortunately, the concussion made him miscalculate. He managed to further hurt Kisame, but it wasn't enough to kill the Kiri missing Nin, at least not immediately, and he still had Itachi to deal with. The Kyuubi's chakra was healing the concussion and his cracked ribs, but it wouldn't be fast enough. Kisame was getting to his fit. He had, at the very least, second-degree burns on the right side of his face and body. The shrapnel from the kunai pierced him as well, so he had limited range of motion and responsiveness in his right arm. But he didn't care. He didn't care about the mission, about his leader, or any of it. He was going to kill that little annoyance, and they could get the fox later. Kisame began his approach toward Naruto, fully prepared to end the little shit that injured him and stole his sword, until he collapsed on the ground and could no longer feel his legs. He couldn't see what happened, but Itachi could and knew the blade that literally stabbed Kisame in the back and then immediately retracted. "Long time no see, Itachi-kun," she said, now standing over his down partner along with another male, possibly around Itachi's age. "Don't interfere in this, Orochimaru. Don't make Leader Sama any more motivated to find and kill you." Itachi knew Orochimaru had returned to Konoha. The very thought sicked him, but he didn't expect her to come to the defense of the container. Itachi briefly wondered if she had plans to experiment on him and considered killing Naruto outright as a mercy and a way to protect Konoha. Orochimaru said nothing, surveying the area. She could tell Naruto was hurt. His breathing looked pained. She was going to have Kabuto heal Kisame after she dealt with Itachi. The Shark Man would die for this. "Leave, Itachi," she said, her voice lacking the sadistic mirth it is normally infused with. "I can't do that, and Sannin or not, you're no match for me," Itachi said before vacating his current position as a high-powered heel came crashing down. As soon as Itachi had his feet planted, he felt them surrounded by some weird substance that made him unable to move. "This is where you die, Itachi," he heard from behind him. The Sannin, all of the Sannin were here. This was bad, but not unsalvageable. He activated his Manjikyu Sharingan, planning to burn whatever this was and flee. Before he felt something pierce his back. Whatever, it was just missed his heart, but the pain was unbearable. Each of the Sannin saw the projectile make a beeline for Itachi, but weren't sure they believed what they saw. Until Naruto pulled it back and caught one of the 7 legendary swords of Kiri, the new Abari. Tsunade made her way to Naruto to check on him, as she noticed the same things Orochimaru had. Kabuto went to Itachi to make sure he'd survived transport to a secure facility, and Jiraiya created 2 prison transport scrolls. Once Kabuto saw to Itachi and confirmed he was stable, Jiraiya put him in the scroll. He was going over to Kisame, but was too late. Orochimaru had beheaded the man as he lay helpless on the ground. "What are you doing? We could have interrogated him for intel," Jiraiya shouted. She met eyes with Jiraiya, and the Toad Sage saw blind fury and madness in those slitted pupils, and the surrounding area was heavy with her killing intent. "Say one more thing to me, and I'll flay you then dump you in a vat of salt water," she hissed. Jiraiya wanted to press the issue further, almost exclusively out of habit, but Tsunade reminded them they had to turn over Itachi and get Naruto to a hospital. The fractured jaw and broken ribs were easy enough to handle, but he had a severe concussion, so certain protocols needed to be adhered to while he was in the village. As if a switch had been flipped, Orochimaru ceased the killing intent and summoned a snake to dispose of Kisame as if he were trash. Once Tsunade situated Naruto on her back, the Sannin and Kabuto headed back to the village at a sedate pace, Tsunade refusing to travel any faster than necessary given Naruto's condition. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat at his desk, taking pulls from his pipe. He was distressed by the information he was given. Both Jiraiya and Orochimaru had finally given him everything they'd known about the Akatsuki, and all the information provided lead to one conclusion. He wasn't the conclusion he wanted. This was supposed to be different. Hadn't he done this enough? Given enough? Lost enough? Was he really supposed to work himself up for this one more time? Was this a divine punishment for not faithfully living up to his ideals? For his past misdeeds? He was supposed to give the new generation something better? Maybe he still could. He tried to reason his way out of it. He tried to think of an alternative, but stopped. That is what had gotten him into this mess. Always looking for the soft option when sometimes problems required more. But there was so much to do, and he'd have to risk the ire of the daimyo, but it was necessary. 2 letters were sent. One to daimyo justifying his need to stay in the chair a little longer. The other to Raza. The support of Suna would be most helpful, but if he declined, Hiruzen would have to make do. The course was set. allowing this Akatsuki free rein to do whatever they wished would be foolish, especially as he bore some responsibility for its rise. Orochimaru savored every poisonous word as she relayed how his refusal to neutralize Danzo led to another enemy with a grudge against Konoha. But this wasn't the time for guilt. He'd given himself, and therefore his forces, 6 months to get where they needed to be. After that, they were going to war with Akatsuki and AIM. Even saying it war felt heavy. It was acknowledging you'd be sending some segment of your forces to their deaths. You had done so before the first order was given. But this organization, with its unknown agenda, outside of collecting the bijou, was too dangerous to allow to move through the shadows. He'd have to get Tsunade training more medical ninja. He wouldn't ignore the worth of that advice again. He'd have Jiraiya shore up his spy network, especially now that he didn't have to split his focus between Odo and the Akatsuki. Hiruzen wanted every bit of information they could get. So many plans, so much preparation. His village had gotten soft, too comfortable with the peace they'd enjoyed. In many ways, the village reflected his own decline. A decline thrown into sharp relief when he considers Orochimaru. She's had him beat every step of the way. He's been outplayed so thoroughly. It was over before he realized the game was afoot. But this last order, this is what she truly wanted. She put him in a corner, and he had only one viable option. Jiraiya could train him eventually, but she was right. Their skills didn't complement each other outside of a shared interest in Fuinjutsu. He hoped he wasn't damning a boy he saw as a grandson, and one that used to see him as a surrogate grandfather. He hoped that not even Orochimaru's taint would be enough to darken his soul, but this was necessary, and Shinobi endured, so Naruto would have to endure this. Request for apprenticeship by Orochimaru of the Sannin. Named Apprentice Naruto Uzumaki, approved by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage. He wasn't in any extreme pain. Some discomfort, but he could manage that. A part of him hated he wound up back here. Once again taken down in 2 strikes by a vastly superior opponent, but he was alive and had not been impaled or shaven. He even has another legendary sword. So, all in all, a banner day for one Naruto Uzumaki. He's done a shinobi's work and deserves a shinobi's rest. The unwanted, uninvited, and inconsiderate guest in his room doesn't share this opinion. He doesn't share it at all. How did you do it? I need to know. I heard you the first time, Uchiha-san. I'm sorry my convalescence has delayed my response time to your queries. How I did it is simple. Neither he nor his partner took me the least bit seriously, and I was able to delay them long enough for the freaking Sannin to arrive. So, I guess the real answer is the same one you got from the start. Why would he care about you? What's so special about you? I'm sure the no offense part of that is implied. And in response, it doesn't matter. I don't have anything more to say on the matter, so if you would please leave my room, I'd appreciate it. Sasuke realized he was being a pest. The redhead wasn't in the hospital for fun. He could have come back another time, or went to someone else, but his need for revenge fueled the small bit of jealousy he felt for the Uzumaki. Itachi had told him he wasn't worth killing, but this kid, same age as him is? Why? What made him worthy? In a moment of pique and childishness, Sasuke did something that was beneath him, and even he'd admit was jerkish. He grabbed Naruto by what should be the collar of his shirt, as he was still wearing his face mask, and demanded Naruto answer his unasked questions. The villagers never beat Naruto, never chased in. There were no mobs to duck on his birthday. As such, he developed a sense that even they thought physical violence was a bridge too far. That wasn't the case. It's just that attempts of physical violence resulted in immediate execution, and that was one of the few things Hiruzen was intractable on. Because of this, Naruto developed a rule, more subconscious than anything. If they never touched him, never vandalized his stuff, he'd just ignore them. He might dislike them, but he would ignore them. But no one puts their hands on him without response. He would meet violence with violence and not apologize for it. He didn't even bother to make Sasuke release his shirt. It wouldn't matter, and 3 hand signs performed faster than an eye blink. He demonstrated why, as his once languid hair were now crimson spikes long enough to impale the wall adjacent from his bed. However, there was no Uchiha stuck to the wall. Mama, Naruto-kun, that was a tad strong, wasn't it? Kakashi said, holding his wide-eyed student, quickly coming to terms with how close to death he'd been. He wanted to glare at the redhead, but the look in the Uzumaki's eyes dared him to. "He shouldn't have put his hands on me," Naruto said, ending his jutsu and his hair returning to its natural state. "Hi, he should not have, but surely the penalty for such an offense isn't death? Just break a leg next time." Kakashi replied with an eye smile, and Naruto nodded. Sasuke grew concerned as he wasn't sure if either party was joking or not. "What the hell happened in here?" "Ah, please no yelling," Tsunade Abakin. "Then tell me why there are 2 holes in the wall that weren't there when I left." Sasuke and Naruto had a bit of a misunderstand, Tsunade-sama. "I take full responsibility and will be disciplining my student for his outbursts," Kakashi said, pulling Sasuke away. He didn't want to be around an angry Tsunade. As the members of Team 7 departed, Tsunade ran a quick diagnostic over Naruto and was satisfied with his recovery, but wouldn't let him leave. She was amazed when he didn't complain, just asked if there was a soft light available so he could read, which she had the support staff provide, and left him to his devices. He was on his knees gasping for air. His training session hadn't gone well. His timing was off. His balance was shot. He used to move with grace. Now he plods. He has to fight his instincts, them telling him to use a hand that is no longer there. The phantom pains are still there, and in his dreams he remembers the sensation. It haunts him be he conscious or not. In moments so much had been taken from him. Word had come that the daimyo ordered the end of the cage bird seal. The branch family was going to be free and had the option to form their own clan in restitution to the generations of oppression. Neji should be happy, but he can't stop himself from thinking their freedom was bought with his arm, and he doesn't know if it was worth the price. He's free, but he is also less. He once was a servant, but he was strong, capable. More than capable, prodigious. His potential limitless, so he imagined, but now he's broken. So while his fellow branch members cheer, and the main family speak empty words about relocation, Neji trains. He trains and trains and trains. And she watches. He can feel her eyes on him. Every moment, every twitch. Nothing escapes her gaze, her eyes sharper than most give her credit for. He hates her eyes that presume to watch him in such close detail, picking apart his every flaw, laying him completely bare to her judgment. How dare someone weak possess such eyes? Eyes that looked through him when he informed her of her fate? Eyes that deem him lesser? Eyes of the entitled, of the blessed, the chosen that can't bear the burden of luxury? Minimal expectation and she falters, always seeking to break from tradition when tradition keeps the Hyuga strong. She's a failure, and he hates her. He'd have his father if not for her. His father would be free if not for her. She takes and takes from him. Her lack of talent as great as his genius. The two in inverse. Both cannot rise. What harms one benefits the other. She was strengthened by his injury. Was the Uzumaki her agent? Sent to avenge her loss because she was too weak to do it herself? It must be. Why else would he be so brutal to a complete stranger? She set this in motion. She watches him now to see her master work, to see the fruits of her labor, his struggle. That bitch! Stop watching me. His breathing has become even more ragged. He can't take it anymore. Even injured, you are still quiet, the genius, and I said. She said evenly. What does that mean? Are you mocking me? Why would I mock you? We are family. The end of the seal does not make us family. You and I can never be family. So enjoy your momentary victory, because it won't last. I take no pleasure in your disability. Watching you struggle holds no entertainment for me. I'm not what you say I am. You are. It was decided by fate. Then fate was always going to take your arm, and if I found it amusing, that too would be fate. You should have no feelings on the matter, correct? It is all predestined. Neji does not speak. He cannot craft a retort, and Hinata takes that as her cue to leave. She did not lie. Seeing Neji hurt held no pleasure for her. What pleasure could you take of watching someone live on an injury when you sincerely wish them dead? Her plans were coming together much faster than she'd ever anticipated. She knew with the information she had the Akatsuki, the old fool, would feel the need to be proactive. He hadn't lost all of his instincts, but she assumed he'd be too soft to lead the charge, that he'd delay for a year or two and let his replacement handle it. But this is almost better. He'd have to sit in that chair and live with the disgrace, as many of his top jounin wonder, if he's going to war to cling to power. The man of peace himself being considered a warmonger? It was delicious, but still didn't bring her the fraction of satisfaction that him assigning Naruto to her did. She assumed she'd get him in the period before Jiraiya went to prepare for a training trip, the same he did for Minato. But no, he's hers outright. Saratobi claims it's only for the 6 months leading to the invasion, but that'd be plenty of time to get him ready. She just couldn't wait. Jiraiya's expression when the old monkey made his decision was just icing on an incredibly sweet cake. He could only glare, the one sign of his impotent rage. She would get Naruto ready and with the might of Konoha, vanquish all of their enemies. Then the old monkey can go wither away in irrelevance while she and Naruto-kun continue to break barriers. She couldn't wait. She was heading down the final path to her compound to see her former apprentice waiting for her. "You seem happy. Whose soul did you eat today, sensei?" "Oh, Enko-chan. You smell of disappointment and sake." "Well, you always smell of disappointment." "Fuck you, bitch. You were never really my type." "So I've heard. Is it the red hair or the prepubescent penis?" "Such a crass little trollop you turned out to be. And I'd request you not speak of my new apprentice that way." God, the old man has really given up, hasn't he? To allow you to be the master of anyone is criminal, but him? I don't know if I should try to kill you to save him or kill him to save the rest of us. Enko spoke and immediately found a firm hand around her throat and was lifted off the ground. Poor little Enko. She never did know when to shut up. "I should really snap your neck right here, but that's what you want. One final act to show Sensei cares. Be honest, you were never mad I left. You were mad I left you." "How could I? You want to know why? Why I gave you the curse mark and left you in that lab? Because the depths to which you disappointed are hard to articulate. I thought you were someone like me, but you weren't. That seal was to maximize your potential. No more and no less. I wanted a student that would accomplish something new, change the shinobi world. You just wanted to please me like some concubine," Orachimaru said, her grasp tightening. "And now you threaten Naruto-kun because I see his value, having nurtured it in a far less direct way than I did with you, and yet look at him, at how much he's accomplished because he was willing to do so." Orochimaru finally let Anko go, dropping her to the ground. Anko immediately began to rub her throat, trying to ease the pain. "People think I want another me. I want someone in my image who thinks like me. Why would I want that? I'm not that egotistical. I don't need a replacement or an heir to some imagined throne. Unlike most of you unremarkables, I don't want to change Naruto in the slightest. I want him to be the best version of himself, even if that version is my antithesis. You right? No one would believe that." Orochimaru smiled. That's what she was counting on. He would, and he will. He isn't beholden to groupthink and is willing to find things out for himself. But I'll tell you like I told Saratobi and Jiraiya. Anko, if you interfere with my apprentice or try to influence him in a way I don't like, it won't be healthy for you. And if that's too cryptic, I'll be literal. I'll kill you, Anko. Do we have an understanding? Seeing her former student isn't responding, Orochimaru grabs her hair and pulls her head back. "Do we have an understanding, Anko?" "Hi, good girl. Now, run along, and the next time we speak, try to be a bit more polite. You're a kunoichi, not a corner girl." He stares at his charge, not knowing what to say. His words fall on deaf ears, and he really isn't one to give speeches. It's never been his thing. He's the cool, aloof, genius, and really cool type. You're supposed to hang off his every word. But this boy, he's immune to the coolness. It was vexing. It was annoying, but before now, it hadn't been dangerous. Sasuke couldn't know Naruto's hard and fast rule, or why the boy had it, but he needs to learn his emotional outbursts can get him hurt. If that had been another senior ninja, they may have just snapped his wrist and been done with it, but he'd really rather gamble with the health of his student. So now the boy is tied up with ninja wire looking at Kakashi with all the hate his little body can muster, but at least he has enough sense not to activate his Sharingan, or Kakashi might have had to pop him one. "I know you hate Itachi. I know why. No one can fault you for wanting him dead, for it to be a driving motivator in your life. But these childish temper tantrums? That needs to end, Sasuke. You almost got skewered today because you violated the personal space of the wrong shinobi, and had I not been there, your revenge would be moot." How was I to know he'd react like that? We're trained killers. He was just ambushed by 2S-rank ninja. If you knew nothing else, you should assume he'd be a little worked up having survived what should have been certain death or defeat. Also, He had a concussion, so your shaking and yelling wasn't helping matters. That's just baseline observations even a genin should have been able to make. The boy hung his head in shame. Finally, something got through to him. I just needed to know why Itachi thought he was worth it. What made him so special? If you knew, then what? What would knowing solve? Shouldn't you just be relieved he is in custody and no one else died to make it happen? I heard he managed to stab him in the back. No genin nor chunin should be able to do that. Why? He's not invulnerable, and he's not a god. And as Naruto mentioned, he was with the Sannin. All of them. Do you think none of them would be able to make Itachi leave a small opening in his defense? He likely wasn't concerned about Naruto at that point, and that was his mistake. That's the thing about this profession, Sasuke. It only takes one time to fall into the right trap, or fall for the right trick, and powerful or not you die. Is he well enough to talk? Yes, but don't push it. He was lucky Naruto was concussed, or the new Abari would have pierced his heart and killed him instantly. I don't exactly feel lucky, Tsunade-sama. Itachi quipped, small smile on his face. Shut it, brat. You missed your last checkup. Being a missing nin doesn't allow for one to keep a consistent schedule, especially with the Akatsuki starting their initial play. What can you tell me about that, Itachi-kun? The Sandaime spoke. Leader Sama wanted to test the youngest Jinchuriki, assess their threat level since we wouldn't be going after them for a few years. Why the delay? The Mizukage died, Sandaime-sama. The Sanbai won't reform for at least 3 years. How long do you think it'd take them to replace you and Kisame? I'm not sure. S-rank nuke nin aren't common, and they really need to be of that caliber. Maybe a year or year and a half. Itachi postulated. Good. Itachi, you return now in a time of upheaval. Some of my past indiscretions have come to light, so I am not long for the chair, but I won't leave the Akatsuki to my replacement. I must once call on your service once again. I believe Maelstrom will need you now more than ever. What do you mean? Asked Itachi. Even Tsunade was confused at what new danger Naruto found himself subjected to. Orochimaru has returned. She gamed the daimyo to make it so, and has been 5 steps ahead of me. She wants Naruto. I don't know why, but currently she is the one best suited to raise his skill level quickly. I know my student. She will demand he be subjected to a period of isolation, just her and whoever she may choose to aid in his development. As his master, she has that right. But as a clan heir, one that faced a recent abduction attempt, I think he'll need additional security, and as Hokage, that is my right. It'll be an observe and report assignment, just like last time. I accept, Hokage-sama. What about Sasuke? I believe you should have the right to decide. Inform him of the truth, and I'll do what I can to mend your broken bond. If you wish he stay ignorant, I can claim you are in a secure facility or even succumb to your injuries. No one would be too credulous at the idea you fell to the Sannin. When I need to start my watch over Naruto-kun, you'll be on bed rest for at least 5 more days. No debate. Tsunade stated, brooking no argument. Then you'll have your answer no later than that, Sandaime-sama. Accepting his response, the Sandaime and Tsunade leave Itachi's room and head for an exit. When this same issue is resolved, I want you to replace me. Snort, I bet you do, but I vehemently decline. Tsunade, please. The village will need strong leadership. Then let Jiraiya do it. It's about time he stopped playing spy anyway. Hell, he'd take the position to spite Orochimaru. That's part of the problem. He'd go out of his way to antagonize her. That would end in disaster, a disaster with Naruto in the middle of it. And with Naruto involved, that is involved as well. So, what? You think I'll keep Jiraiya and Orochimaru from killing each other and make sure your Jinchuriki is stable? No, I want nothing to do with this. Also, why would Naruto be in the middle? He doesn't seem aware Jiraiya is his godfather. At this point, Jiraiya is just his father's sensei that half-assed his Chunin finals training. She has something planned for Naruto, and Jiraiya won't sit idly by and allow it to happen. And I will? No, you won't needlessly antagonize her, and since you're his Abakin, if you warn him, he'll believe you. No, he'll take it under consideration and look for proof. Likely, because he's had to learn to rely on himself from an early age. Funny how that works. I can't have that fight again, Tsunade. Just, you're the best choice. And maybe with you, in the chair this village can get back something it's lost under my leadership. You may even inspire Naruto to want to be Hokage again. Sarutobi said, causing Tsunade to glare at him. That's more reason not to take the hat. If he gave up on that idiotic dream, then all the better he'll live longer. Maybe have a family and find some happiness. Tsunade, just consider it. Until then, you have your medical training program. Get as many medics trained up as you can and start back seriously training yourself. Take your own advice, old man. You'll get your damn medics 3 decades late. As far as that other thing, don't bank on me accepting. It's enough I'm here and having to deal with this bullshit again. The next day found Team Kurenai in the Sandame's office. The ceremony was brief, and all were informed that Shikamaru and Shino would become Chunin, making Team Kurenai the first team to promote to Chunin during their first exam since the Sannin. Both boys accepted the vests and new promotion. Both Kurenai and Naruto were happy that the entire team was allowed to succeed together. Hiruzen gave them their moment of merriment before he continued. While this is good news, this also signifies a change. While you are allowed to stay together as a team, and I'd suggest you do, Naruto will officially be entering into an apprenticeship. Hiruzen said, and saw the surprise on all of their faces. I'm sure Naruto informed you of who attacked him, yes? Seeing them all nod, he continues, we have received a great deal of information about this organization and where they're located. This is an A-class secret. I'm only telling you because of your connection to Naruto. In 6 months' time, we will be invading AIM with the intention of ending the Akatsuki threat. That is why Naruto will be entering into an apprenticeship. Hokage-sama. If he is a target, shouldn't he be left out of the invasion? Kurenai asked, clearly worried about her student. If Naruto were some low-level Chunin, yes. But he isn't, and his combat prowess will be needed. As he is now, I'd allow him to go, but after our ramp-up, I'm more than confident he'll be prepared. I've already spoken with your fathers, and they have agreed to increase your training as well. You will still take missions, but they'll be primarily combat-oriented, so you have field experience to go with your new skills. This won't be easy, nor will it be pleasant, but striking the Akatsuki down while we have the element of surprise is the best choice available. Seeing the boys nod in understanding, he continued. Naruto, your training with Orochimaru begins in a week. She's requested you not take missions and solely focus on her training during that time. She'll collect you from your apartment on the day you start. You will have your nights free, so don't lose connection with your team. If you have no questions, you are all dismissed. The team departed, the newly promoted Chunin heading off to their training grounds, but Kurenai had somewhere else to go. She could no longer ignore Anko's words as paranoia. She knew Naruto and the Sandame had a strained relationship, but she assumed if Orochimaru did intend him harm, the Hokage could protect him. But he assigned her student to the Viper herself. Even as a Jounin, there are things she is not aware of and things the Hokage clearly had no intention of telling her. That only made her concern grow more. It didn't help she briefly ran into the Sannin while visiting Naruto. Kurenai was a Jounin, a new Jounin, but one all the same, and even she was slightly cowed by the passive presence of Orochimaru. The woman excluded supreme confidence, as if she always had things in hand and you were always just a toy for her to play with. It was unnerving, and Naruto was going to be subjected to that for at least 6 months. If she could barely stand to be near an alleged ally, how would she be able to protect Naruto from the people targeting him? As she currently was, she couldn't. She needed to better herself, just as her students would be doing. She needed to expand her skill set, shore up any weaknesses, and get creative with what she was good at. She had a lot of work to do, but knew there was a generalist, someone who was quite good at everything without being outwardly fantastic at any one thing in particular. She arrived at her destination promptly, knocking on the door more frantically than she intended. Soon, the door was opened, and she was greeted by the resident. Asuma, I need your help. He walks with a confident stride and stern visage. It does not reflect his true feelings, but as a Hyuga, it is what is expected of him. Expectations, perceptions matter. He wishes his eldest daughter would understand that. He wishes a lot about her, mostly that she didn't hate him and her clan. He can see it. Anyone who would bother to pay attention to Hinata could, but most do not take the time. He does. He knows this is his fault. The coldness and lack of affection he subjected her to soon after her mother passed, and she was almost kidnapped. It didn't break her, but she grew quiet and distant. She tolerates him, Hanabi, and everyone else, and if it didn't end up with a cage bird seal, she'd likely just leave the clan to be free of them. Yes, the Byakugan sees all, and he sees her desire to be rid of them. Her clan is little more than weights she cannot cast off. He does not know how to reach her. Her eyes burn with absolute hatred for him, and any attempt to mend what is broken between them is rebuffed. He was weak, a weak man that hid behind tradition and a facade to mask his overwhelming grief. Should have ended the separation between branches. He could have freed his brother, but he wanted to be a perfect leader of the Hyuga, to do what is expected of him, to appear strong, but to bow before the forces of habit. It was a paradox. In many ways, Hinata is stronger than him. She actively bristles against tradition and chooses to fight it regardless of her detractors. He should have encouraged it more instead of favoring Hanabi, but it was easier with Hanabi. Hanabi's eyes didn't look through him, deeming him unworthy. They didn't silently ask why he was alive when clearly the superior parent and brother both died, leaving this empty shell of a man. Just like he saw Hinata, Hinata saw him and wordlessly let him know she found him wanting at best, his continued existence offensive at worst. She was lost to him, as she had no desire to reconcile, and no amount of apologizing, which he's never done, could fix it. He convinced himself of that, so this doctrine of tolerance would continue. A permafrost between parent and child, and all because he'd rather look strong than be strong. But it wasn't his daughter that brought him here, but his nephew, the one person he may have wronged even more than Hinata. The boy had lost himself since the Chunin finals. Not even removing the seal that damned him has been enough to lift his spirits. When he thought himself a slave and had little, Niji had his talent and the regard it earned him. But now he believes it is all gone and has begun to spin tales of Hinata setting this up. She doesn't deny it, only throwing his belief of fate in his face. He can answer back, but it only increases his rage and depression. An invasion is coming. The Sandaime informed all Jounin of this and told them they need to be increasing their training and the training of anyone under their command. Hayashi believed if Niji could participate in this invasion, if he could distinguish himself, he'd earn back what he'd lost. But he'd need to fix his arm to do so. He could go to Suna, but previous experience has shown their prosthetics and the gentle fist don't mix. Instead, he opted to come here, to make a deal with the devil herself. He was surprised when he arrived at the manor to be greeted by the Uzumaki. The boy managed to use the proper honorific when greeting him, but Hayashi could tell it felt like ash in his mouth. While nothing but potential now, they boy would be powerful one day, and that may be a relationship he needs to repair. Just another example of when being a joyless hardass has done more harm than good. The Uzumaki escorted Hayashi to an office and excused himself. Orochimaru arrived moments later, looking incredibly pleased with herself. "What can I do for you today, Hayashi?" "My nephew. He needs a replacement for his missing arm, and I'm hoping you can help." "Kakuku. I'm sure I can help Niji-kun with his little problem. And what will it cost me?" "Money is no object. Money I have, besides, why wouldn't help such a promising shinobi? He is a comrade after all." No money need be exchanged. However, your gratitude would be invaluable. And if I were to be asked to act on this gratitude in the future, then it would only be fair?" Hayashi asked, but knew he'd walked into her trap. Her pocket was not where he wanted to be, not where his clan needed to be, but he would do so for his nephew and handle the consequences later. "So, we have an accord?" she asked, smile never leaving her face. "We do." "Good. I will meet him at the hospital in a week's time. I should have something by then, but have his measurements sent to me as soon as possible." "It will be done. Thank you for your time and your efforts." "Of course, I love to help." Naruto stood on the private training grounds panting. He was surrounded by upturned earth, some of it scorched, others with deep grooves carved into it, and more still soaking wet. He'd just completed his assessment, demonstrating his skills in Nin, Jin, and Taijutsu, and he'd shown most of what he could do. She shrugged it all off as if it were laughably easy. It isn't that he thinks he's on the level of a Sannin, but still would like to make his opponent put forth a little effort and not just smile at him as if he were a baby taking his first steps. But as it were, he was tapped out. He'd essentially shown her everything, though there were a few surprises tucked away. Naruto could feel exhaustion oncoming. He probably should already have passed out, but bull-headed determination had managed to stave it off. He couldn't tell how she felt about his demonstration, keeping the same neutral expression the entire time, and at this point he couldn't care. He needed a nap. Naruto hit the ground with a thud, causing Orochimaru to laugh. She was quite happy with his display, but annoyed as well. Had he been given proper directly when he graduated and allowed to promote when he earned it, he'd likely be further ahead and with more experience. If nothing else, it is experience he needs as much of what he knows hadn't become instinctive, yet so his transitions to some tactics aren't seamless, but she had 6 months to work out the kinks and expand on his skill set. She saw why he favored his sword. His stature made engaging in taijutsu with anyone older, and therefore larger than him, a chore. His skills were certainly befitting his rank, and she could tell he dedicated the time to keeping them polished, but he wouldn't see a true leap until his body started to mature. She created a clone and had it take Naruto to his room, and then called out Naruto's new shadow. Sarutobi-sensei clearly thought he was clever, his little gambit, but he needed to be reminded why she was so ahead of him, and how any piece he puts in a play can be turned or neutralized. Itachi-kun, aren't you going to come out and say hello? She said, after said shadow refused to reveal himself. So very rude. I'm sure you've heard about Danzo. Such a pathetic end to a once proud shinobi. I am curious, after he ordered you to kill your family, why didn't you ever kill him? Itachi immediately appeared before her. I suggest you drop this topic, he said in his usual monotone. Or what? Will you attack me? Chance revealing you're still alive. Poor Sasuke-kun, no family, no revenge. He's so very lost. He may need guidance. You will stay away from Sasuke. I may and I may not, and there isn't a lot you can do about it. Kikuku, but back to my question, why didn't you kill Danzo? If someone made me decide between two things I cherished, I may make the decision, but I would certainly kill the person who made me do so. Did you even consider it? She asked and saw no response. He was disciplined, but still, she had a feeling she was having an effect. Or are you unable to act without orders? Another genius that can only follow the path laid before them. And what is the result? Your brother, broken and alone with no bonds to speak of, while you play guard to someone who doesn't need it because another paranoid old man has made demands of you. Kikuku, so tragic, Itachi-kun. She said nothing else as she entered her manor, leaving Itachi with his thoughts. As much as he'd want to deny it, the Sannin had a point. Danzo was a threat. He should have removed him to ensure Sasuke would be safe from his schemes and for stopping Shisui from finding an alternate resolution, but he hadn't. He only followed orders, and while the village avoided a civil war, his brother bore the brunt of his choices. It was hard to accept, but it was the truth. Without getting justice with his own hands, Sasuke would find it difficult to move on, and that was Itachi's fault, no one else's. You know, I enjoy spending time with you. I really do, as you should. I'm good company and a beautiful woman. I'm 12, but let's go with that. My point is that since I enjoy spending time with you, Shizen and Tanin, you don't have to carry me. I'm not going to flee, said Naruto, was currently underarm of Tsunade. It was embarrassing. He's a chunin for crying out loud. After he awoke from his nap, he showered and changed into some civilian clothing, fully prepared to finish his treatise on the battle applications and limitations on the Shunshin no Jutsu. He called it the battle applications and limitations on the Shunshin no Jutsu. Until Tsunade stormed and once again abducted him. Shisui just watched and waved, smiling the entire time. He'd pout if it didn't add to Tsunade's amusement and his shame. But you need to have an older familial figure embarrass you. It's a rite of passage. Oh joy. Shush, it isn't that bad. The only reason people aren't laughing at me is they think you'll punch them into the sky. And I will, so you have nothing to complain about. Besides, we're here. Here was a small bar. Apparently, he was going to drink his dinner once more. The two settled in, joined by Shizen shortly after their arrival, and chatted away between drinks. Naruto could tell something was bothering Tsunade, but didn't want to bring down the mood. After a few bottles, she got a faraway look in her eyes and asked Naruto something he'd not be expecting. Brat, why don't you want to be Hokage anymore? Isn't it against your nindo to give up? Naruto paused for a moment, truly surprised by the question. Like so many things in his life, when he let go of his dream, he just busied himself with training and his work, but he can still clearly remember the day he stopped believing it were possible. I didn't stop wanting it. I just no longer believed it to be an achievable dream. Why? Asked Shizen. He looked sad, so it was something he didn't enjoy talking about it, but it's better to get these things off your chest. When you guys treated me, after I returned and gave my debrief, the old man, of course, denied me my promotion. But he had this look in his eyes, pleading with me to understand him, to sympathize with him. He held all the power, but he acted as if he were the victim of these large forces outside of his control. I hated him in that moment. Sincerely, I hated him in his entirety. Before that meeting, I still had some trust and held a sliver of affection for the old man, if for no other reason than old time's sake. But he killed it. All the times he told me I'd earn acknowledgement if I just worked hard enough and showed the village my worth. He had no intention of allowing me to do that, and if he would hold me back, what hope did I have of convincing the rest of these small-minded assholes? But that Chunin that was with you after Ishval, he came around. Shizen pointed out. True, but Nachon, there are thousands of shinobi in Konoha. How could I ever possibly work with enough of them to change the opinion of me en masse? The numbers simply didn't work out, and besides some catastrophic event or a war, which I'd never wish for, I didn't see another path with the Hokage actively working against me. So I dedicated myself to improving my skills as a shinobi inside and outside of combat. I had no name, you know? For what I knew, I didn't come from a clan, so it's not like I had some prized lineage. Naruto stopped to chuckle at that. All I had was the willingness to outwork everyone, but when you're shown hard work, doesn't matter what's left. Become some fiend like Danzo, always plotting and scheming in the dark? That's not me. Instead, I decided I'd be the strongest ninja in the village. One no one could ignore. Even if I never was named Hokage, I'd make the sitting Hokage look like an also-ran in comparison. Tsunade laughed. It sounded like something Kushina would say, and it was good to have a reminder that while often serious, his spirit hadn't been broken. Why did you ask? Sensei told me you used to want to be Hokage. I was just curious. You know, I've lost a lot of people to that dream. So many I came to despise the position. Irrational? Probably, but I just did. A selfish part of me was relieved when he said you'd given up. I wouldn't have to lose you as well, but if being Hokage is what you truly want, you shouldn't let Sensei be the reason you no longer believe it possible. He won't be Hokage forever, and of all the people he's considered, none would intentionally hold you back. I guess. I just haven't thought about it in a while. Think about it or don't. Ultimately, it's up to you, but don't let that old bastard be the reason you don't try. Don't give him that power. I'll consider it. The mood lightened after that, and the trio continued to enjoy the night. Unbeknownst to them, Jiraiya had returned to the village. When Sarutobi-sense informed him Naruto would be apprenticed under Orochimaru, he was furious at Hiruzen giving Naruto to Orochimaru for any period of time. He left to collect himself, but returned, hoping he could convince his sensei this was a terrible idea. Hiruzen tried to get Jiraiya to accept this, as it was the best option for the time being. No argument could appease the Sannin as he feared what her influence would do to his godson. Jiraiya stormed out of Hiruzen's office in desperate need of a drink. He just so happened to pick the same establishment our trio were occupying. He immediately approached them, happy at the chance to spend time with Tsunade and Naruto, and it was in that order. Hey, what are you three doing here? He asked. We were enjoying ourselves. What are you doing here? I just left Sensei's and decided I could use a nightcap. Naruto, I need to warn you. Don't bother. The Sandame already has. Everyone treats her like she's going to eat their children. Maybe she's earned that, maybe not, but she's been good to me, minus the stabbing. He said the last part quietly. You don't know her like I do. We were on a team together for years. You need to listen to me, Naruto. I only have your best interests in mind. That's cool, or whatever, but I'll be fine. I prefer to judge people for myself, and if something feels wrong, I'll handle it. You can't handle it. This isn't some second-rate Kiri swordsman, Naruto. Orochimaru has been at this longer than you've been alive. She could have plans within plots, and you'd never know until it was too late. She's twisted. She always has been. Just come on the road with me. I trained your father. I certainly can train you. He ignored Tsunade's scoff and waited for Naruto's reply. I don't fight like my father. From what little I know, I'm nothing like him. I just don't think you're the best sensei for me. It really isn't anything personal. Not personal? You'd rather be taught by that sick monster than your own godfather, and it's not personal? You're my godfather? Naruto said in genuine surprise, and was wondering why his mom hadn't said anything. Yes, and I'm sorry I hadn't been there for you. I won't make excuses, but give me a chance to make this right. We can go on the road, and I can show you more than the snake ever could. Jiraiya said, his old feelings of jealousy flaring up. The old man isn't pulling me off my team. I can't continue to take missions with them if I left. and he said it's important I do that. We could take missions, Naruto, but I wouldn't be with my team. I need to stay in sync with my team, so I have to stay here. Also, the old man already decided, and I agreed to it. I don't go back on my word. This time you do. You have no idea the amount of danger you are in, and I can't fathom why Sarutobi-sensei is allowing this. Granted, he was always too soft on his favorite student, literally letting her get away with murder, but this is too far. Just pack your things, we'll leave in the morning. He already said he isn't leaving, Jiraiya, and that's stupid. I'm not gonna let him be used by her. You two seem to forget what she's really like. A heartless traitor that cares for no one because she can't. She's a high-functioning sociopath and the evilest bitch to ever grace the elemental nations. Tsunade didn't know why Jiraiya's words were having an effect on her. She's listened to this insipid rant enough to just ignore it, but this time she can't. He needs to be made aware of some things, and maybe he'll finally shut up. Naruto, you mind if I tell you a story? It isn't long. We don't have time for this, Tsunade. You intruded on us, Jiraiya, and I didn't ask you, now shut up. She said with an edge to her voice that didn't go unnoticed. Sure, Naruto answered. There once was a little girl. She lost her parents early in life, and it left a lasting scar. She also didn't think like everyone else. Morality and social norms around deviance didn't make sense to her. But she was also a genius. So much, in fact, she attracted the attention of the Hokage to be on his Genin cell, along with the princess of the village and the town jester. Now, the Hokage was considered a great and powerful man who was also incredibly wise. He came to believe in his own wisdom as well. So when he started favoring the genius with more of his attention than the other teammates, he was able to justify it to himself, but it was simply that her skills and interests most mirrored his own. The village princess recognized how unfair this was, but, at that time, still had family that could supplement her training. The town jester, however, became angry and resentful. He didn't want to be known as a fool any longer and hated being in the shadow of the genius and the princess. However, as is often the case, when little boys become angry at powerful men, the boys lash out at weaker targets instead of challenging the powerful man. The jester started to mock the looks of the genius. Anytime he felt insecure, he'd levy an insult. What the jester hadn't known was not only was the genius sensitive about her looks, but she had a bit of a crush on the jester and wanted him to do well. But after his continued insults, she grew to despise the jester and mocked him in kind. The jester would always see himself as the true injured party, and the genius's later actions would only solidify that in his mind. Jiraiya's face was frozen in shock at Tsunade's stories, a part of him wishing it wasn't remotely true. Oh, but there is more to this tale. The team was poison. The genius hated the jester hated the genius, and both craved the acknowledgement of the wise and powerful old man. The team would manage to stay together, fight many battles and even a war. They were young then, barely in their 20s when they received the titles that would cement them as the most legendary team of ninja to ever exist. The wise and powerful old man was proud of his students and their growth, each having prodigious skills in various shinobi arts, but he took notice of the genius most of all. She had matured into an exotic beauty, and with how much she respected and admired the wise and power old man, he found himself desiring her in the way a power man often desires a woman. They began an affair, one where the wise and powerful old man would pull her toward him and push her away. Eventually, the wise and powerful old man decided he needed to end the affair. The fact he was informed she was with his child can be chalked up to mere coincidence for the gullible among us. The man, fearing what people would say, requested the genius rid herself of the child, pleaded really as he didn't want to lose his real family. Hurt, though she'd never show it, the genius went to the princess to do just that. 3 months later, she was now under the charge of a sick, twisted, and bitter cripple. It wouldn't be long before the princess left, having lost the last of her clan. Without her support, and with the hatred she felt for the wise and powerful old man that threw her away, the genius indulged fully in her alternative thinking. She no longer felt the need to hold back. Nothing was wrong. Everything was permitted, and the sick, twisted, and bitter cripple loved and encouraged her fall into madness. The end. That's it for today, guys. I will stop here. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the author of this video.